Hi, hello, welcome. Today I decided that we are going to talk about this group that deserved better, basically. We are going to talk about the Little Mix. You may ask, why are you on the floor? Well, the light was not lighting, so therefore had to change the scenery. Never mind, it's me and Mr. Harry Styles, and we are going to take you on a little trip down to memory lane to 2010s, how Little Mix was basically created, what happened to them, what are they doing now. So let's get ready. You may ask what Little Mix is, which I hope you're not asking because that would make me feel very old. But if you are, maybe you just didn't catch it when it was happening. It is this girls group that was created in the UK. They had these songs pretty much concerned with girls' power and women's right, and overall I think they were very good, and people just failed to make them bigger. Partially I think it's because in America you had Fifth Harmony, so there was this kind of a clash probably, because Little Mix in Europe I feel like they were huge. Just to give you an idea, Forbes named them as one of the most influential acts in Europe. Throughout their career, they put out 6 studio albums, 7, some may say, but the 7th one is a compilation of their biggest hits, so I don't know if we are really counting that as an album. They've been on 7 tours, and now I am going to give you a brief, short history summary of Little Mix. The group's been created in 2011 on the British version of the X Factor, which is basically like a year after One Direction. And first they were called Rhythmics, but they had to change their name due to the fact that in the UK they already was a charity with the name Rhythmics, so they changed it to Little Mix. Later on, we found out that Kelly Clarkson is actually... Oh, not Kelly Clarkson. It is Kelly Rowland. Yes, it is Kelly Rowland, sorry. Sorry, Kelly Clarkson. Almost gave you a credit. Later, we found out that Kelly Rowland made this happen and put them together because they auditioned as soloists. So the group consisted of 4 members: Perry Edwards, Leanne Pinnock, Jade Thirlwall, and Jessie Nelson. They were actually the first girls group that won the series, and shortly after that they came out with their album DNA, with their debut album DNA, with songs like, as I mentioned, DNA or Wings. After DNA they came with their second studio album called Salute. From this album we can mention the song also called Salute or Little Me. They were pretty successful. And after this record, they also supported Demi Lovato on her Neon Lights US leg of a tour. Now we are in the year of 2014 when this is happening. They also had their own tour because they toured after every album they put out. And a year later, in 2015, they came with their Get Weird, 3rd solo record. I would say this album launched them into mainstream for sure, because we can mention Black Magic, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. This album also get them few nominations and wins. For example, we can mention Teen Choice Award for Music Choice of International Artist. And after this, they also joined Taylor Swift on her 1989 tour to perform Black Magic. We are still in 2015. In November, the album gets released. And in 2016, from this album, we also got a Secret Love song with Jason Derulo and Hair with Sean Paul. Also very successful songs, so you probably heard them. Now, we are in the year of 2016. 16th October of 2016, Shout Out to My Ex gets released. And this is a song that you for sure heard before. It's supposed to be about Zayn. We will talk about it later. And This is a lead song from their fourth studio album that came out later in November, called Glory Days. From this album we can also mention Touch, we can mention No More Sad Songs with Machine Gun Kelly. And during this time, they also, let me read it to you so I don't spread misinformation. The Glory Days spent few weeks at the chart summit, surpassing any other album released by a female group in this millennium or indeed past 20 years since the Spice Girls debut Spice. Just so you have an idea what it was. Also, December 2016, Little Mix and Charlie Puth performed their song, and this is also something I will talk about later. Now moving on to 2017, they started the year by supporting Ariana Grande on her Dangerous Woman tour, the US part of the tour. After that, they again started their own tour. We got a music video to Power, their single from Glory Days album with Stormzy, which is again like probably one of their most successful songs they put out. Now to some nominations, so you get an idea, because they were huge. It's not like they were not huge, but I feel like they could have been way more bigger. But just to mention, they won the Best British Group at BBC Radio 1 Teen Awards. They won Best Group, Best British Artist Group and Best Song with Power at the Global Awards. And they also won the Best Remix for Reggaeton Lando at the I Heard Music Music Awards. In 2018, they came out with their fifth studio album called LM5, because their fans used to refer to this album with a huge anticipation coming in, so they decided they're gonna call it LM5. And on their website, not my words, on their website, they are claiming that it became an all-time fan favorite. Just to let you know. From this album we can mention songs like Woman Like Me or Think About Us. For Woman Like Me, they won the British Video of the Year at the Brits, and they also won Best Group, Best Song with Woman Like Me at the Global Awards. They went on tour in September 2019. Another thing happening in September 2019, Jessie Nelson, one of the members, released her Odd One Out document, where she basically opened up about her experience in the group, about her mental health struggles, because let me tell you, this girl was bullied, and like genuinely bullied to her core. Like, that bullying was out of the control. I mean, we are talking about, from 2011 up until she was, towards the end of her time in the group, when she left later on. She was so bullied that she also opened up about her thoughts and attempt of suicide. 2020, their sixth album Confetti came out, with the lead song being Breakup Song. And also in February 2020, they began filming their Little Mix The Search document, reality show kind of thing, where they were looking for the next girls group. By the way, I bought a camera, like a serious camera, so the videos are going to get better, hopefully. Just to let you know. The show premiered on BBC One in December 2020, and later on in November, as it's a tradition, because every year their album is released in November, their sixth album Confetti got released on 6th November of 2020. Later on in December, the group came out with statement of them becoming a trio, because Jessie Nelson decided to leave. And to read this, Jessie Nelson is to take an extended break from the pop group for private medical reasons, is what their publicist has said. This came after Jessie missed the premiere of their final episode of their show, and also their hosting of the MTV European Music Awards. But the group assured fans that they are going to continue as a trio, which they did. They again won numerous awards. In 2021 it was their 10 years anniversary, and they came out with their 7th album called Between Us. That's the one I mentioned at the beginning. It's a compilation of their biggest hits plus 5 original songs. They also took this album on a tour, but before December of 2021, a year after Jessie's departure, they announced that they are taking a break because they want to focus on their solo projects. But they assured fans that it's just a break, it's not the end of the band. But you know, been there, done that. You're not gonna fool me again. You're not gonna fool me again. Because, you know, you can say it's hiatus. I'm not gonna believe you. Their last performance happened at the end of their tour and the finale in London's O2 Arena on May 14th of 2022. By the way, this tour was live streamed, and it was also available for a limited time in cinemas. So, kind of a huge thing. So that's the end of the group, or not real end, but at least for now. And right now I'm going to tell you about the solo projects of girls. What are they doing? What happened? What changed? Now let me start with Jessie. Jessie's statement said that she's going to focus on her mental health, but she basically took the same road as Zayn, being like, I need to leave to, you know, have a normal life, and it's just them wanting to do a solo project, which is nothing wrong with that. So in 2021, she released her debut single called Boys with Nicki Minaj, but the song was not really that acclaimed. It had kind of negative answers, so I will tell you about it later, why it happened, when we'll talk about few scandals that swirled around the Little Mix. And in April 2023, Jessie released her second single, Bad Thing. In 2024, she released a song called Mine. And that's all from her discography for now. But just a few days ago, we found out that Jessie actually teamed up with Amazon Prime to put out a document called Jessie Nelson, Life After Little Mix, where she is set to open up about her time in the group, her time after group, and it's coming out on February 13th, so you can watch it then. For now, we just know that she is going to talk about this personal stuff. Now, moving from Jessie to Jade, I would say that Jade, not that I want to compare them, but she definitely took probably the most similar genre to what they've done in Little Mix. So she is also, I would say, closer to the mainstream in a way. In 2022, she signed a record deal with RCA Records and released her debut single, Angel of My Dreams, in 2024. So just a fresh thing. Oh, it's not even that fresh. Oh my god, it's 2026. It's not 2025 anymore. Oh my god. Well, this happened 2024. She was even nominated for Song of the Year at the Brit Awards 2025. The debut solo album called That's Showbiz Baby was released on September 12, 2025, and it debuted as number 3 on the UK album charts, so pretty successful. Perry also launched her career with the single Forget About Us in 2024, which peaked inside the top 10 on the UK single charts. It was followed up by the single Tears or You Go Your Way. And in 2025, also September, she released her debut solo album called Perry. And also in 2021, not related to music, but in 2021, she launched a fashion brand. So pretty busy. Leanne released her first singles called Don't Say Love and My Love, and they both reached the top 30 on the UK single chart. Her third single, Still in Love, was before the release of her debut EP called No Hard Feelings. That happened in 2024, and in 2025 she released her first single as independent artist called Been a Minute. And that was followed by the singles Burning Up and Dead and Gone. And her debut studio album, My Ego Told Me To, is set to be released in February of this year. And also in 2021, she made her acting debut in the movie called The Boxing Day. What also happened in 2021, she came with her documentary called Leanne, Race, Pop and Power, and actually this documentary won Ethnicity Awards for Media Progress Movement, iTalk Daily Awards for Best Documentary, and Visionary Honors Awards for Documentary of the Year. So if you don't know what to watch, there is an idea for you. Now let me go back and tell you something more about the controversies I mentioned. Overall, I would say they did not have the biggest controversy. Like, there have been people who had done way worse. And when it comes to Little Mix, I feel like they really were very unproblematic. First thing that I'm going to mention is not even that much of a controversy. I just feel like it needs to be addressed a little bit because it was a huge thing at the time, and that's Perry's and Zayn's relationship. They dated, they were even engaged from 2013 up to 2015. In 2016, Little Mix came with One World book where Perry addressed the relationship and said that Zayn broke up with her via text message. Which, like, if you have done this, well, but as answer to this, later on Zayn told the Fader that he had too much respect for Perry to end things like this over text message. So I don't know where the truth lies, just wanted to tell you this. But Perry also later on We Need to Talk podcast said that their relationship was like her first big love, but it was very toxic. So the second thing I'm going to talk about was a little bit controversial. It's about Charlie Puth. As I mentioned before, the X Factor performance on Twitter, or X now, this user, I'll put it here, wrote, he was hitting on her when they were doing a song together, and she told him multiple times she had a boyfriend and he didn't give back, as he has a history of hitting on female artists he records with. Charlie Puth, when he was asked about this, he told the Bizarre Life podcast that him and Jade had a bit of look on X Factor. She is in a relationship, I found out that night. I was on stage singing with them and I was like, oh, Jade, she's so sexy, she's so lovely, but love, she's taken. I will say she's taken and I'm glad she's happy. That's what he said. But what Jade said when she was asked on To Say It or Shot It, who is one person she would not collab with, she said, I'm quoting, I feel like the fans already know someone I wouldn't collaborate with, Charlie Puth. When she was asked why, she said, nothing to say, just did on that one. Now, the biggest controversy that happened concerned Jessie Nelson. And it was in her solo career time, but it's still tightly connected to Little Mix, so I'll mention it. Basically, to put it very simple, it's about blackfishing. Mostly it happened after the release of her Boys single with Nicki Minaj, the first one. But it was also happening back when she was in a band. There was this discourse about her in Sweet Melody music video looking darker than Leanne, who is actually a black woman, even though Jessie is white. And she even said she's white. I'll quote it just in a minute. What started all of this was a BuzzFeed article published under the name Dear Little Mix Fans, we need to hold Jessie Nelson accountable. It went viral. It was published by Starburst49. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. And basically it just showed several examples of the former Little Mix star with extremely dark skin. Little Mix talked about this a little bit when they said that they tried to talk with her about it, and even after this video of her debut single, they unfollowed her. Just see, there is also concerned another incident that happened a few years prior to this, when she went to New Year's Eve's party and she posted on her Instagram stories her singing repeatedly the N-word to Chris Brown's Freaky Friday. She never really reacted to this, to be honest. She just took the video down and never ever commented on that. So this is all from me. It's just short, brief summary of Little Mix. I hope you enjoyed. I mean, as everyone is going back to 2016, I was like, what am I gonna talk about? And then I was like, 2016? Because when I was in 2016, I was definitely listening to Little Mix. So it kind of made sense for me to make this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with a better camera.